Okay, I want to do a quick inventory. Just picture the apps on your phone right now.
Mm-hmm.
Scroll past all the social media, the email,
Mm-hmm.
and do you have a language app? Maybe like a Duolingo owl that's been sending you passive-aggressive notifications for 6 months.
Oh, I feel seen.
Or maybe on your bookshelf, there's that dusty copy of Spanish for Beginners that you bought for a trip back in 2019 and opened, what, twice?
It's the graveyard of good intentions. We all have one.
Right. And usually when we look at that graveyard, we tell ourselves a very specific story. We look at that unopened book and we think, I'm just not disciplined enough.
Or I just don't have the ear for languages. We internalize it. We make it a character flaw.
Exactly. Which is so fascinating because we don't really do that with other skills. I mean, if you try to learn to code and get stuck, you blame the tutorial.
Yeah,
Right?
of course. But with languages, we almost immediately blame our own brains.
So today we're digging into why that self-blame is probably misplaced. We're looking at this breakdown of adult language learning by Vikas Kumar, and his argument is it's actually pretty provocative.
It really is.
He suggests that the reason you, the adult, the competent professional, can't learn French isn't because you're dumb or busy, it's because you're trying to learn it the way you learned everything else.
It's an issue of tool selection. You're trying to use a hammer to paint a picture. Kumar's whole point is that adults fail because we are fundamentally fighting the biological reality of how language is acquired.
How so?
We're trying to force a school mindset onto what's really an adaptive process.
Okay, school mindset. Let's start there. Because, I mean, I consider myself pretty good at school. I got good grades. I know how to study. So why does that skill set, which has served me so well in my career, suddenly backfire when I try to learn Italian?
Because your career and your education, they probably rely on what Kumar calls linear learning.
Linear learning.
Yeah, think about how you learn new software at work, or even how you learned algebra. It's modular. Step 1, learn the rule. Step 2, apply it. Step 3, get the correct answer. It's binary. You're either right or you're wrong.
Sure. If I learn the formula for the area of a circle, I can immediately go calculate the area of a circle. Instant gratification.
Exactly. And that creates a little dopamine loop, effort equals visible result. But Kumar argues that language is not a linear system. It's an adaptive system.
Okay.
It doesn't work by just stacking rules on top of each other. It works by massive, messy exposure and pattern recognition.
But wait a minute, grammar is a set of rules, isn't it? I mean, you have conjugation tables, you have sentence structures. That looks a lot like math to me.
It looks like math, and that is the trap. That's the whole trap. We try to treat it like a logic puzzle. We think, okay, if I just memorize this table, I will be able to speak.
Right.
But have you ever had that experience where you memorize the table perfectly, you ace the quiz, and then you walk into a coffee shop in Paris and just freeze?
Every single time. I know the rule, but I just can't find it in my brain.
That's because you're trying to run a computation in a situation that requires a reflex. Linear learning builds explicit knowledge, about the language.
Okay.
But fluency is implicit knowledge. You just do it. And when you try to bridge that gap with logic, you crash.
Okay. But adults are logical creatures. We crave that structure. If you take away the rules and the linear progress, what are we left with? Just chaos.
Ambiguity. And this is the clarity trap that Kumar highlights. This is maybe the single biggest difference between an adult learner and a child.
What is?
A child does not expect clarity. When a toddler hears a new word, they don't stop and ask, "Excuse me, parent, is that the subjunctive mood?"
They just mimic the sound.
Yeah, they mimic it, they guess, they move on. They are completely comfortable with not knowing exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
But adults, we demand clarity before we act. We want to understand the why before we even attempt the what.
That rings so true. If I'm reading a sentence and I see a word I don't know, I stop. I have to look it up. I analyze the sentence. I can't move forward until I've solved it.
And that solving is what kills your momentum. Kumar points out that by demanding clarity, we actually block the brain's natural ability to pattern match. We're so busy analyzing the tree that we never see the forest.
We're treating it like data to be processed.
Instead of a skill to be practiced, yes.
So we're just overthinking it. But isn't that what smart people do? I kind of feel like we're saying being smart is the problem.
Well, in this specific context, yes, absolutely. Your intelligence, or at least the analytical kind, it is a massive burden in the early stages of language learning.
A burden.
A huge one. And that leads us right into the second major hurdle in the source material, conscious learning and this thing called mental load.
Let's unpack mental load. I'm guessing we're not just talking about stress, but like actual processing power.
Think of your brain like a computer with a limited amount of RAM. When you speak your native language, the process is totally automated. It takes almost zero RAM. You have a thought, and the words just appear.
Right. I'm not thinking about subject-verb agreement right now. I'm just talking.
Exactly. But when you learn a new language using this linear method, you're forcing your brain to run a manual simulation. So you have the thought. Then you have to find the vocab. Then you have to remember the grammar rule. Then conjugate. Then check your pronunciation.
And you have to do all of that in the split second before the other person gets bored.
Precisely. You're running 5 or 6 high-intensity background processes at the same time. Your RAM is maxed out. This is why you feel physically exhausted after speaking a foreign language for 20 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just difficult, it's cognitive overload.
That explains that buffering feeling, where you're just staring at someone, your mouth is open, and you know the word, but you just can't get it out.
That's the bottleneck. Kumar makes a really critical distinction here. Understanding is not the same as readiness.
This is what trips up so many high achievers. You intellectually understand the rule, you could explain it to me, but your neural pathways aren't ready to fire it in real time.
So we confuse knowing with competence.
We do. And we get so frustrated when the knowing doesn't instantly translate to speaking. We think, but I studied this, why can't I say it? But the brain treats studying and speaking as two totally different functions. Studying is content consumption. Speaking is cognitive training.
It's like reading a book on how to box. You can read the book 10 times, but the first time you get in the ring, you are going to get hit in the face.
That is the perfect analogy. And most adults are just reading the book, getting in the ring, getting hit, and then saying, well, I guess I'm just bad at boxing.
Right. It's not for me.
No, you just haven't trained the reflexes yet.
But the getting hit part, that's the part we really, really hate. And that brings us to the emotional side of this, doesn't it? Because it's not just a math problem, and it's not just a RAM problem, it's an ego problem. It's a huge ego problem, and I don't even mean arrogance, I mean identity. Think about who you are. You're articulate, you're funny, you can use nuance and irony, you command respect.
Ideally, yeah.
Now strip all of that away. When you're a beginner in a new language, you are stripped of your wit, your nuance, your intelligence. You sound simple. You sound, well, a bit dumb.
It's infantilizing. I remember trying to order food in Germany, and the waiter just immediately switched to English. It felt like a pat on the head, like, nice try, little boy.
And that stings. For a successful adult, that is a status drop. And Kumar argues that this status drop triggers the self-monitor.
The self-monitor.
It's not just a feeling, it's a mechanism. It's like a guard dog in your brain that says, do not let anything out of your mouth unless it is perfect, because we cannot afford to look stupid.
So the monitor is protecting my ego, but it's killing my fluency.
It strangles it. The monitor interrupts the flow. It second-guesses every single syllable. It's that voice that says, wait, is it le or la? Stop, check. And that hesitation just destroys the rhythm of the interaction.
And then the interaction gets awkward and you just retreat.
It's the avoidance cycle. This is the death spiral for language learners. The monitor creates anxiety. Anxiety leads to hesitation. Hesitation leads to awkward interactions, which leads to avoidance.
And eventually you just stop speaking.
You stop speaking entirely to protect your ego.
It's so tragic because the source material explicitly says that mistakes accelerate language learning.
They do. From a neurological standpoint, a mistake is just a data point. It's your brain calibrating its algorithm. It's, oh, that word didn't work. Okay, adjust. But because of the monitor, we treat mistakes as evidence of failure. We think, I made a mistake, therefore I am bad at this.
Instead of, I made a mistake, therefore my brain is learning something.
Right. Children make mistakes constantly. They say go ed instead of went. They don't feel shame. They just wait for the correction and update their internal model. We adults are just paralyzed by the shame of the error.
So we have the wrong mindset, which is the linear thing. We have the wrong process with cognitive overload. And we have this huge emotional block with the monitor. I mean, it feels like the deck is stacked against us. How do we actually break out of this? Because just saying, don't be afraid, is terrible advice.
It's the worst advice. You can't just wish the fear away. You have to change the methodology. And it starts with redefining what fluency actually looks like.
Okay, so hit me with it. What is the fluency myth?
The myth is that fluency is a destination. We view it as a finish line. Once I learn 2,000 words, I will be fluent. We also think it's static, that once you have it for good.
Like a badge you unlock in a video game.
Exactly. But Kumar describes fluency as uneven, fragile, and moving. It is not a stable state. You will have days where you are totally in the flow, and then days where you can't remember the word for door.
And I'm guessing the adult learner interprets the door day as a complete catastrophe.
We interpret it as regression. I'm getting worse. But you aren't. Your brain is just consolidating. And this leads to a concept that's often overlooked: the silent period.
I saw this in the notes.
Yeah.
The idea that not speaking is actually part of the work, that sounds a little bit like an excuse for laziness.
It does sound like it, doesn't it? But think about a baby. Babies listen for years before they form complex sentences. They're just absorbing the rhythm, the intonation, the sounds. We adults try to skip the listening and go straight to speaking on day one.
We want to output immediately.
But you can't output what you haven't put in. Kumar argues there's a necessary lag time where your listening comprehension will soar, but your speaking ability will basically flatline. This gap is normal. It's biologically necessary.
But we adults panic in the gap.
We panic. We feel like imposters. I can understand the news, but I can't talk to the cab driver. What's wrong with me? I must be broken.
But you're not broken.
You're just filling the reservoir. If you can accept that silent period as a valid stage of learning, you stop beating yourself up for not being a chatterbox in month 3. You allow the brain to do the quiet work of pattern recognition.
That quiet work idea is really interesting. It implies that progress is happening even when we can't see it. Which I guess brings us to the final trap: consistency. Or really how we totally screw up consistency.
Ah, yes. The Saturday binge model.
Guilt as a motivator. I didn't study all week, so I'm going to do 4 hours on Saturday to punish myself. To catch up.
And that is the absolute worst possible way to learn an adaptive system. Imagine if you wanted to get in shape, so you didn't exercise for 6 days, and then you just ran a marathon on Sunday. What happens?
You get injured and you quit. For good.
You get injured and you quit. Your brain works the same way. Neural pathways require frequency, not intensity. Kumar is so clear on this. 20 minutes a day is infinitely better than 5 hours once a week.
Because of the forgetting curve.
Because of reactivation. Every time you engage with the language, even just listening to a song or reading a headline, you're signaling to your brain, hey, keep this pathway open, this is important. If you go 6 days without it, your brain starts to mark that pathway as junk and begins pruning it.
So when we fall off the wagon and miss a few days, and then we feel that resistance to starting again, that's actually our brain having pruned the path.
It's the illusion of loss. You haven't actually lost the skill, but the access path has gotten overgrown with weeds. So the barrier to entry feels higher. And then the shame kicks in. I missed my streak. I failed. Might as well stop.
It always comes back to shame with adults, doesn't it?
It really, really does. We're so hard on ourselves.
So if we strip this all down,
Mm-hmm.
if someone's listening to this and they want to actually learn Spanish this year, not just buy another book about it, what is the actionable shift? It sounds like you're saying, I need to care less.
You need to care differently. You need to move from an achievement mindset to an adaptation mindset. Stop trying to hack the language. Stop trying to conquer it with logic and rules. Treat it more like an environment that you're just inhabiting.
So more listening, less analyzing.
Much more listening. Just bombard your brain with input. And when you do speak, just lower the stakes. Give yourself permission to sound like a toddler, except that you will sound stupid. If you can just tolerate that status loss for 6 months, you will come out the other side with a skill that lasts a lifetime.
It's about trust, really. Trusting that the biology actually works.
It is. The brain wants to learn. It is designed to recognize patterns. It's a pattern matching machine. You just have to give it the data and get your ego out of the way.
There was a quote in the source that really stuck with me. Progress is often quiet before it becomes visible.
That's the mantra. Just because you aren't seeing the results on some scoreboard today doesn't mean the neural connections aren't knitting themselves together.
So stop checking the scoreboard every 5 minutes.
And stop treating fluency as a test you have to pass. It's a life you have to live.
I think that's a perfect place to leave it. We've talked a lot about the cognitive traps, the linear fallacies, and the ego. But here's the question I want you to walk away with.
If you stopped trying to master the language, stopped trying to dominate it like a work project, and just allowed your brain the time to adapt to it without judgment,
How much further would you be in 6 months than you are right now?
the progress is waiting for you. You just have to be willing to be bad at it first.
Thanks for diving in with us.
It's always a pleasure.